everyone. I'm joining you live from Vancouver, BC on a beautiful Saturday morning of February the 6th. My name is Anna Vavilova. I'm director of the World of Music and Arts, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 6th International Zoom Masterclass. And today we are hosting a musician from the Netherlands, the city called Utrecht. His name is Michael Ibsen and he is a guitar teacher. So today he will be helping our students, World of Music and Arts students, to improve their guitar skills. And to help me to welcome this amazing musician is our own WMA guitar teacher, Mr. Michael Bemmels. I want to tell you a few words about our invited guest, about Michael Ibsen. And he is a Canadian guitarist who currently lives and studies in Netherlands. And Michael Ibsen is very passionate about contemporary music. He transcribes the music, he establishes connections with living composers, and he commissions works for himself to perform. And pre-COVID times, he just finished the tour across Canada called Made in Canada. At this tour, he performed the new work that were commissioned and for him, and also the works of Canadian living composers. So he's very passionate about that, and at the same time, he is very active musician. He plays and collaborates with singers, with other guitarists. He plays with orchestras, and also he has a full teaching studio in Netherlands at his hometown Utrecht. All right, so without further ado, I'm switching over to our WMA teacher, Michael Bemmels, for his opening remarks, and I hope everybody stay tuned and enjoy the masterclass.
All right, hello everyone. Thank you, Anna, for the introduction. Yes, my name is Michael Bemmels and I teach guitar at World of Music and Arts. And I am so glad that we were able to organize this masterclass event to happen today for my students. Masterclasses are really wonderful opportunities for music students for a variety of reasons. One being that it's really a special event for students to look forward to. It's a great source of motivation, something to keep up the inspiration for practicing. Especially during a pandemic now, there's not a lot of opportunities for music students. So I'm very glad that we have this opportunity for our students here, have lots of inspiration for a fun event to look forward to. And of course, masterclasses are also very beneficial because students get to hear advice from a different teacher. And different teachers always have different perspectives, different opinions. So it's kind of like, it'll be like giving a fresh perspective. It'll also be very inspiring and informative to get to study today with a new teacher. Of course, I'm very happy to be having our guest artist, Michael Ibsen, joining us today. Michael and I met several years ago when we were both music students studying at UBC. And I remember being really impressed with his performances and also just how enthusiastic he was about connecting with other guitarists and just discussing everything there is to discuss about classical guitar, performance techniques and new arrangements, new recordings being released. So I know Michael is going to be a very knowledgeable, very experienced teacher, and I'm very thrilled that my students get to study from him today. So let me just maybe turn it over to Michael a little bit here, just so we can meet him. So how are you doing today, Michael?
Good. Hi, nice to hear from you guys. Thank you, Anna, for the introduction, and also Michael for the introduction, and both of you for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here. Like you said, we're in a pandemic, and it's kind of it's a difficult time for music students, also for teachers, because I miss seeing my students in person. I'm teaching all online right now, but I also miss traveling around and teaching some students here and there in like workshops and master classes and stuff. So I'm really happy that I get to do this. And I love hearing new guitarists play of all ages and levels and stuff. And so I'm really excited to hear the guitarists play and see if I can help them a little bit with their music. And yeah, it's just great to be here. And like I also have very fond memories of our time in Vancouver, Michael, studying at UBC during our master's studies. So that's a time I look back on very fondly. Thankfully, Utrecht is just about as rainy as Vancouver, so it feels like I haven't changed with the weather system. But yeah, so thank you both so much, and I'm looking forward to meeting the students and hearing them play.
All right, are we ready to begin with our first performer? Michael Bemmels, go ahead, introduce our brave student.
Yes, up first we have Ryan, and he will be performing Tango por Mario by Gerard Montreuil. So you can get started now, Ryan.
Nice job. Very good job, Ryan. Nice to meet you. As you probably heard, I'm Michael, and I really enjoyed your performance. It's very nice. I think you have a great technique, and you seem very stable on the guitar, and I'm very impressed with your rhythmic control too. So nice job. How do you feel about how you play this piece right now? Do you have any feelings about like how it's going, what's going well, what you want to improve? If you don't, it's okay. I can come up with some ideas. Okay, cool. I really like the feeling of this piece and the way you take it. The A section is super stable, so I just want to talk about a couple rhythmic things, and then we can talk about some interpretive things about how you can maybe add some more musical elements that will make it even more interesting and exciting. I think the first time you did it, you might have played this second ending twice. So if I share my screen here, I think you should be able to see the music. Oh, I can't share my screen. Okay, so in measure 16, at the end of the first half, the first time it should actually only be right, and the second time is when we do where you have these extra notes in the melody above. So just be aware of that. That's one small thing. And then actually in the first half the rhythm was really stable, but in the second half I think we could improve it a bit. Can you try playing from measure 17, Ryan? Is that okay? Okay, good. I think the only issue is at measure 17 and 18, and then again at 21 and 22, and that repeats. So it's a little bit confusing, and I don't really blame you on this, because in the beginning of the piece we have this, right? We have so that bass note at the end of measure 2, the B, ba e b e, it feels very natural on that beat, but at measure 17, because we have the upper voices starting on the first beat, it can be a little confusing on the third and the fourth beat. So what I hear here is that your the C and the E on the third beat, the C and the E and then the A and the bass after are not always quite on the third and fourth beat. So if you could play it and count it out loud, like 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And if you can try and put a little more emphasis on the 1, the 2, and the 3. So if I do it slowly, it would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Because sometimes on the fourth beat where the bass note is, it was a little earlier or a little late. So can you try that counting out loud from measure 17? Have you done a lot of counting out loud while playing, or not so much? No? Okay, let's try it together really slowly so you know the notes already. And what you're going to count is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so the eighth notes are on the 1 and the 2 and the and. I'm going to try sharing my screen again because I think Anna said, oh, I can share it now. Nice. Okay. Nice. So I can actually draw here for you. Can you see the music?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So I'm going to draw for you like this. You're going to count 1 on this beat. Actually, what color do you like? What color do you want, Ryan?
Blue.
Blue? Okay, let's do blue. Nice. Blue is my favorite color. Good choice. We're going to do 1 and 2 and 3. And then you say and, but you don't play. And then you're going to say 4 on that one. So it's going to be like, because this one is a half note, right? It lasts for the end of the measure. So this one happens on the third beat. And this one happens on the fourth beat. So it's going to be like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Can you try that? Okay, there. Good. Okay, the rhythm is correct now. You didn't count it out loud, but I think maybe just me playing it slowly helped. So, or maybe you knew the correct rhythm and it just didn't come out when you performed it. That can also happen. Can you do it one more time, and can you put a little bit more of an accent? Do you know what I mean by an accent? Just play a little harder on these 3 beats, okay? So like da, 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 dee, da. And don't play this A too loud because it's just the bass line. We don't have to sort of punch it too hard. Can you try that? Nice. Next part. Dee da da dee dum. Yeah, good. Okay, nice. That was much better rhythmically. Okay, now can you play all the way from 17? You can see where I'm drawing all the way to the end of the line, okay? Very good, Ryan. Nice. The rhythm sounds way better now. Cool. That was the only rhythmic problem in the whole piece, which is actually really impressive because some of these rhythms are not super easy. And I didn't put the accents here because I want you to play super hard. I don't think this part of the piece sounds super intense, you know, in the sense of really, really loud. I just mean that they should be a little more accented than the ones off the beat. In other places, you've probably worked with Michael on the rhythms here, for example, where you play off the beat, right? And also in the beginning, this starts not on the beat, it's like 1 and. So the reason I kind of want you here to emphasize the notes on the beats a little bit, on 1 and on 2 and on 3, is because before we'd have more notes off the beat, more syncopation it's called. So I think it would be nice if here people really feel the normal 1, 2, 3 of the 4/4 measure, you know? So you don't have to play them loud, just play them a little more accented than the other ones. I had a question actually about this. So you know how the piece is in 2 sections, right? You can kind of tell there's like first half and second half. What do you think this change in mood is? Like, what is the second half like if you would describe it? Could you describe it for us? Like the sort of feeling it gives you or the kind of atmosphere in any way? How does it make you feel? Do you have any ideas? I have some ideas about what it's kind of like. Okay, I think the second half sounds a little darker, a little more mysterious, maybe scary or maybe sad. It's not as upbeat as the first half, right? Because the first half is this very major sounding. It's pretty cheerful, right? Etc. And the second half, when we go into the section where we have all the natural notes, we've removed all the sharps and it goes into A minor. It sounds a little more. Oh, sorry. It's a little more sorrowful, a little more minor. So, I was wondering, have you done much where you've moved your hand on the strings to different spots to get different colors, or not a lot? No? Okay, let me show you a little bit here. So, you know that when you play the string of the guitar, it makes the sound because the string is vibrating, right? You understand that idea? Yeah. So, when we play the string, it vibrates, the sound goes into the sound hole, resonates in the whole guitar, and then comes out. Actually, the top of the guitar is what resonates the most. Now, the interesting thing is that when you move your right hand, I'll put my camera a little lower so you can see. When you move your right hand further to the right near the saddle, the sound is a lot more thin, right? A lot more clear, bright, maybe is a nicer way to say it, but it's also kind of thin. And when you go all the way here towards the center of the string, even further, can you go, Ryan, here to the 12th fret next to where the body connects to the neck? Yeah, play there. Yeah, we get a super warm, dark sound. Maybe Michael's shown you this, I'm not sure. But there's a reason that's like that, because when you play the string, it vibrates. Remember how I said that? If you play where it's tighter, next to the end of the guitar, the vibration is a smaller and faster vibration. So the sound is a lot clearer and kind of pierces through, you know? Like a really high-pitched sound. If you play here, you can even see the string. If you look closely at the string, it vibrates in a wider circle. It's much bigger. So just because of how the physics of that work, you get a totally different color, right? So what I like to do in a piece like this, if it's a piece where you have a change in mood, like I think that you can agree with me that the first half and the second half have a different mood, right? Different kind of feeling, is to move the right hand a little bit. And it's not like there's only 2 positions. You can be here, you can be here, you can be here. And it's a bit more complicated too, because if you move the angle of the right hand like this, you also get, like, listen here, if I keep my right hand here and I go like this versus this, I get 2 completely different sounds anyways. But this is an easier way at first without changing the right hand position to get a different sound. So I think that this second section, because it's kind of darker and more A minor, sort of mysterious or sad, something like that, I think that if you move your right hand here a little bit, Ryan, it'll be really nice. So can you try that for me? I'm just going to share my screen one more time so I can show you where I want you to play. Can you play from here, from measure 13? And start with your right hand actually a little bit right of the sound hole. So a little bit further right. Yeah, a bit there. And then when you finish that section and you go to measure 17, move over here. Okay? Try that and see what you think. Now move your right hand. Yeah, good. And then try this section. that's good. Nice job, Ryan. Yeah, that sounds. I think that's nice. It's a different contrast, the color. I like to think sometimes. I don't know. This might be a little bit out there, but I like to think about playing guitar a little bit like painting. If you're painting a painting, the more colors you have, the more interesting and more variety you can have. Sometimes you don't want as many different colors, but I like to use that way of moving my right hand around to kind of increase the number of colors I have and use more. So whenever you play new pieces, I would try to think about places where you can move the right hand like that. And sorry, just one more time. Can I hear? Dun, 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 dun. Can I hear from the beginning until the second section? Just to review all that from the beginning until here. Can you play from the first measure until the beginning of the second section?
Do I have to do like the first and second ending?
Just do the first ending this time, and go into the second section. Yeah, don't worry about the repeat. Okay, good. Sorry, I just realized something, that the first and second ending thing I mentioned before was silly because you just didn't play the repeat the first time because we didn't have that much time. So don't worry about that. Okay, we have a couple minutes. We're almost done. So I just want to mention one more musical thing you can do in the beginning because we talked more about the second section. I also like to put more emphasis on chords that have more tension than need to resolve. And that might sound like maybe that's language you haven't really heard before in relation to music like this, but in this section, this first measure, this chord is actually the one that has the most tension, and it resolves to that one. So you can kind of hear if I play this chord by itself, it doesn't sound like it's done, right? But then when I get here, then it sounds a lot more complete. So what that means is that when you get to that chord, sorry, I'll sit properly. When you get to that chord, we have extra tension that has to get resolved to there. So I would put a big accent on that one. Can you try that from the beginning really quickly before we finish? Good, nice. And Ryan, it happens, the same thing happens here. This chord is the one also with a lot of tension. So I'd put a big accent on that one. And if you really want to, you can try rolling it, but I don't think we have time to talk about that. So I'll just play it one more time for you, and then you can do it once and we'll be done. So yeah, put a lot of emphasis on those two. Can you try it once more? Good. Nice. I like that. You can do a little more too, because remember that when we play something on the guitar, we hear it really clearly because we're right next to the instrument, and also because in our brains we're thinking, oh, I'm doing this accent. But for the audience, often what we do comes across a little less obvious. So sometimes when you do an accent or a dynamic change, like change in volume, you have to do extra so that the audience hears even more. But so that's just a little tip I'd give you. You did a really good job. I'm super impressed with your playing of this piece and with your playing in general, and you're doing a really great work. So Keep it up, and I hope that some of these musical ideas help you.
Okay, thank you, Ryan. You can turn off your audio and video, and we're going to Michael Bemmel's going to introduce his next student.
All right, well done, Ryan. Sounding excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, moving on to our next student, we're going to have Maxime playing a song called Travelin' by Michael Colin. You can go ahead and turn on your mic and video, Maxime.
Hi, Maxime.
Hi.
Nice job. Good work, Maxime. It sounds really good. Good job. Cool. Yeah, I like a lot of how you play this. I think that you have a nice groove to it, and I like some of the accents you're using. I don't know if you're always doing it intentionally, but it sounds cool. Sometimes the notes, or some of the notes you do stronger, are like really important notes on interesting beats. So I think that's really cool. Do you have anything you want to say about how you're feeling about playing the piece, or anything you want to improve? If not, it's okay, but I'm just curious before we start.
I think maybe I could do better on some of the rhythms. Sometimes I don't think I waited like long enough to play some of the notes. Overall,
Yeah?
okay.
Yeah, I think some of the rhythms could improve. There was a few that I was going to try to tighten up a little bit. I think some of it might have to do with your right hand fingering, like which fingers you're using for each string, right? So I'm just going to share my screen like I did with Ryan, so I can draw a little bit on the score so you can see. So actually, it was the very first rhythm that I was a little bit concerned about, which keeps coming back, this one, right? Which you also hear here, here, basically everywhere in the piece. So that rhythm, I think the issue is that there's a little bit too much of a gap between this note and this one, right? This is only an eighth rest, so it should really be this to this to this should all be equal, but I feel like there's too much space here, and I think it might be because you're using the thumb for both of those notes. Was it an intentional choice to use the thumb for both, or was it something that you just do automatically?
Yeah, maybe that.
Something automatically? Okay. The composer did write, or I don't know if it was the composer or the editor. I think it was the composer, because I looked up Michael Kuglan, and I think he might teach guitar, he might play guitar, but either way, someone put this index finger fingering here because it's much easier to play thumb and then index than jumping, because otherwise the thumb has to jump like, here, I'll show you with my thumb. Yeah, it has to jump like over two strings, right? And it's just kind of hard to get there in time. So can you try it with thumb and index, those two notes? Yeah, that's already more even. And then just make sure that your slur is even, in the sense, it's hard to get the rhythm right when we slur. Oh, sorry, mic's kind of in the way. When we do a slur, like a hammer-on, this is a general tip for people who are trying to play guitar, is that it can happen that your slur ends up being too fast. Have you heard about that? Has Michael talked to you about this at all, or have you heard about this before?
I don't know. I don't think I remember.
Okay, it's okay. So normally when we play, which hand controls the rhythm? Like when we play normal notes, not slurs, which hand controls the rhythm, right or left?
The left, right?
No, actually the right? Because the right's always playing the strings. So if the left hand is early to moving to another note, it's not a huge problem. But if the right hand actually makes the sound, the right hand decides when the sound happens. So that's almost always controlling the rhythm. But then when we do a slur, where you're doing a hammer-on, like in this song, so you play the first note with your right hand, and then the second note with your left hand, suddenly the left hand is in control of the rhythm. And because our left hand doesn't normally control rhythm, it can end up being a little too early or a little too late, kind of automatically. So it's a good idea when you're playing slurs to maybe use a metronome or count carefully and just be extra sure, because often they'll end up being a bit too early, especially with the hammer-on, because I don't know about you, but when I first learned hammer-ons and slurs, I was always worried I wasn't going to get a good sound from it, you know? And then you sometimes just go too fast to the string, so it ends up sounding like this. Or instead of... So this should be... Let me just check this rhythm again. Yeah, should be... right? 1 and 2, 1 and 2. But if you do the slur too fast, it'll be like 1 and then it's not really even. So can you try it one more time, just those 3 notes, and really make sure that the distance between all 3 notes is the same. Can you do them slower, like da ga da, do 1 and 2, like that? Yeah, that's better. Okay, now try it a bit faster and go 1 and 2, 3. Good. Yeah, that's already better. Okay, so I think this fingering of thumb and then index is going to work a lot better for that. Yeah, can you just go forward and play from the beginning again and just keep playing through? We'll find more stuff to talk about. Okay, cool. Sorry, Maxime. We'll work on that from there. So I think you're still automatically going thumb, thumb, but obviously when you practice it, here I'll write here P for thumb, I for index. I'll just write them in so that, and I'll send this PDF to Michael so that if you want it, you can see the fingerings. But you can like change that later when you practice. So here, the rhythm can also improve, I think, because right now it sounds like all the notes are slightly uneven, and it would be nice to hear them a little more one after the other even. So try going really slow and go... Oh, something happened to the screen share apparently. Sorry. Yes, I didn't actually press screen share again. Sorry about that.
I fixed it. I fixed it.
Oh, okay. Can you see my screen, Maxime?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this section here is what I'm referring to, that we can make it a little more even. So it should be all the notes. Thankfully, they're all eighth notes, but just play slowly through it and do. Can you just do those 8 notes and try to make them as even as possible? That's better, but actually go a bit slower because I think you're still playing too fast. Okay, so there was a break after the open E before this C sharp. So go a little bit slower, and if you want, you can tap your foot with yourself. So something like that. One more time. So I think what's happening is that this slur, you're playing too quickly, and that means that these notes end up being later. So can you play for me just the... Oh, for some reason I don't see your video. Let me stop sharing and make sure that I see your video. Can you play something, Maxime? Oh, there. Now I see your video. Okay, good. Sorry about that. I'm just going to share my screen again. Okay. Good. Now I can see you. Can you play just the slur for me slowly? So G to G sharp without, and don't hammer too fast. Nice. Now the whole sequence of notes. D, ga, da. And don't remember, you're not in a rush to hammer. You can hammer on a little later. Much better. Cool. Good. Okay, so I think that when you practice this, section and this whole piece, you can just take it a little bit slower and make sure that every note is even. I like to tap my foot with myself while I play. Do you ever do that?
No, not really. But
Not really? Or you can count out loud. You can do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Or you can just keep your foot... I don't know if you can hear my foot on the ground. Probably my wife downstairs can hear it, but when you just tap your foot on the ground like this and keep it steady, then it can also be helpful. So, okay, let's go further though. Let me screen share this screen. Okay. Oh, I had an idea for the ending. I really liked how you play these thirds. You have a nice sound on them. But it's a little hard to see because I think the scan is a little bit too short here. But do you see what's at the bottom here on your score? This decrescendo marking?
yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, do you know what that means?
Oh, what exactly?
It looks like this, right? Oh wait, I can draw a better line width if I use the line tool. It looks like this, but it's underneath the notes.
Yeah.
Sorry?
It means that it goes like slower or quieter?
Not slower, actually quieter, but this also means that you should go bit by bit slower. The ritardando, ritardando is an Italian word for becoming slower. So this ending you should do simultaneously slower bit by bit and quieter bit by bit. Let's do one at a time. Let's do the decrescendo first. So this decrescendo means that as you play this sequence of notes here, you should get a little bit slower in one moment at a time, okay? Can you try, or not a little bit slower, sorry, a little bit quieter. Can you try from here and make sure that in this part you're getting quieter bit by bit? Good, nice, okay, cool. Now with the ritardando, and you can do a pretty extreme one, I think, like you can get a lot slower towards the last few notes. I'll give you an example, something like this. You can really wait till the last moment to play it. This one especially can be really late. Can you try one more time from here? Beautiful, very nice. Wow, you have a really musical sense of these kind of phrasing things, of getting slower and getting softer. So that's awesome. I thought this was a little interesting that there was also a decrescendo here, because when I played it, I kind of automatically did a crescendo, the opposite of getting louder, because earlier today I was just reading through it to sort of get a sense of the music, and I hadn't heard this piece before, so I was like, I want to hear it. And I kind of did this, and I mean, that's just something that I sort of naturally did, but the composer wrote a decrescendo. Can you try it from here and do the, sorry, that's not the right tool. I want to draw. Can you try it from here and do the decrescendo, so actually getting quieter? Nice. Now, the question is, what do you think, Maxime? If you do the decrescendo here and get quieter, then we're already quiet by the time we get to this note, and then we can't really get more quiet necessarily unless you only get sort of like to half quiet, like mezzo piano level. Or what you could do is you could get quieter and quieter and then be loud here, forte. or mezzo forte, so that you bring the level back up before you do the second one. So then it would be like. Can you try that? So get bit by bit quieter, and then play the E and this next part loud again, so that you can do it again in the last part. Yeah, okay, that kind of works. The other option is to do, and I think this is maybe why I sort of automatically did a crescendo, instead to do a crescendo here. So getting bit by bit louder, and then you're already loud by this point, and then you can get quieter again. So the whole line kind of has this arc of like starting quiet, getting louder, and then going back down. And you know, it's important first to try what the composer says, because often the composer has a good idea. But you're also an interpreter, and you're part of the creative process, so you can try out things, and you can, you know, make musical decisions that might not be exactly what's in the score. So can you try that and see what you think of that? Good. Yeah, I find that kind of more satisfying personally, but you can make your own decision. So what I want you to do when you practice this at home, work on the rhythms and improve those rhythms, and also look at some of these dynamics. They're written all over, see? Ritardando here, etc. And you can ask Michael about them too. He'll help you with them for sure. And then decide whether you like them, decide if you might want to try other ones, experiment a little bit. This piece kind of has a bluesy feel to it, so I sort of feel like there's a little bit extra license to experiment, you know? And try to make musical decisions that make sense with the shape of the lines and with the melodies and the rhythms that you hear, you know? So that would be my advice there. I think we have 1 or 2 minutes left. I'm just trying to check if there's... Oh, there is one other musical thing I wanted to talk about, Maxime. Let me share the correct screen. Okay, this thing. You know what this is?
Where?
Do you see my screen right now or no?
Oh, yeah, I see your screen. Maybe.
Oh,
Oh,
there.
oh,
Is it?
yeah, I see it. Okay. Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I think I forgot. Could you remind me?
I can remind you. Yeah, maybe you were told once, but it's hard to remember things once. It's called a fermata. Another Italian word, I know. This is sometimes you're getting more of an Italian lesson than a guitar lesson when you play classical guitar, to be honest. So that's called a fermata. I'm gonna draw in a little text box here. Fermata. Sorry about the lime green text. My student earlier today thought lime green was the coolest color, so all the things are set to that. So it means hold this note as long as you want, essentially. So it's kind of like a pause. What's another good analogy for it? Like, sort of like when a storyteller gets to a really important word, they might take a pause and say that word extra slow and with extra emphasis, you know? So it's sort of a break in the rhythm. And then this here, where it says a tempo, just means back to the original tempo, the original speed. So can you play from here and hold this note even longer? Just sit on it for a bit and then start again at the normal speed there, okay? Yeah. Nice. And that's definitely the end of the first half of the piece, right? Like, you can kind of tell that that's the end of one major section and then the start of another section here, right? So it sort of makes sense to have the fermata there. Yeah. I also noticed just one general comment of something that you can maybe think about working on, Maxime, is that you have good rhythm and good control and good technique, but you also play a lot with your thumb in the right hand.
Yeah.
And it works for some things, and it's good to have it's really good to have a good control over the thumb, because sometimes we have to play fast in the bass string and we only have the thumb available, so it has to play quickly. But on the other hand, it is interrupting the rhythm a lot when you have to jump strings like we were talking about before. So I would try to go through and find more places where you can do with other fingers. And you can see that some of the fingerings written in here, I am, M-I-M, etc., sort of show that the composer's thinking, or the editor. If the composer wasn't a guitarist, then it must have been the editor of the RCM book, probably Jeffrey McFadden in Toronto. But somebody wrote in these right-hand fingerings that will be more effective than always having the thumb jump multiple strings, because that usually creates a delay. So that's just something you can maybe add in, and it will improve the rhythm even more. So great job today. I really liked hearing you play this piece.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, cool. Well, have fun with the piece, and I kind of wish that we'd gotten to hear the second one you're playing, Midnight in Sevilla, because it's one of my favorite ones in the RCM books to do with my students, so I hope you enjoyed that one too. But maybe if I'm ever in Vancouver again, I can hear you play that one instead. Okay, thanks, Maxime.
All right, thank you, Maxime. You can turn off your video and audio. Good job. Awesome. That was
Yeah.
fun.
That was.
Michael Bemmels, welcome back. So, what do you think? Any comments, any feedback?
Oh, well, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Michael. That was really wonderful, and bravo and congratulations to both students. I'm pretty sure for both of the students, this was their first time playing in a master class, so they did really well. It was really brave of them to try this out. And yeah, for Michael, watching this was wonderful to see the screen sharing, marking up the PDF. I thought that was really effective in this virtual format for teaching. So that was really, really neat. And I enjoyed, talking about bringing out the different tone colors and different ways about executing the slurs and counting the rhythms and everything. I thought it was really helpful and really neat to see that. So thank you again, Michael, for teaching this masterclass.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, it was fun. And I'm really proud of the students. I know how hard it is. The first few times I played in master classes, I was like literally shaking, I think. And so I'm really impressed that they did this over Zoom. That's amazing. So bravo to both Ryan and Maxime for doing it in this format too. I've done now a couple live stream performances, not a lot, and it's a very different experience. So even for me as a professional, having a lot of performance experience, it's different playing in front of the camera when you don't see the people who are watching, right? So I'm really proud of them for doing that, and I hope that the comments were helpful, and I'll send the PDFs to you, Michael, too, so you can give them to the students if they want. But I think that they both did an awesome job, and I hope that they're both proud of their performances, because the pieces already sound great. I'm just giving some tips on ways that they can make them sound even better, but that's always the case for us, right? We're always able to improve as musicians, so this was fun.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael Ibsen, and thank you, Michael Bemmels. And I prepared certificates that I'm going to mail to Michael Ibsen to the faraway land of the Netherlands.
Yay, that's awesome. Thank you, Anna.
And I have certificate of appreciation for our World of Music and Arts teacher and for students. So then you remember that we had this master class, and there will be more to come. So very excited. Thank you for Michael Ibsen's time and Michael Bemmels' time. And we are going to say our goodbyes, and I'm gonna screen share just some music, waiting room music for our viewers. So again, great Saturday morning for us in Vancouver.
Yes, thank you for doing it at that time, because otherwise I would have been doing this in the middle of the night. So because of the time difference. So thank you both and the students for getting up. I know it's hard to play early in the morning too, so bravo to both students for getting up and playing so early. Thank you.
Okay, thank you again, everybody. So I am screen sharing, and we will see you in the virtual reality. All
Yes.
right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Mm.